Ladies and gentlemen, taking this ceremony forward, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you to the highly esteemed dignitary Mr. Saurabh Mishra, who is gracing the inauguration ceremony and who has joined us online. Mr. Saurabh Mishra joined the Government of India as Joint Secretary, Ministry of Finance, Department of Financial Services in September 2019. As the Chief Information Security Officer and Technology Officer for the Department of Financial Services, his remit also includes topics related to digital components such as cyber, fintech, and insurtech across the financial service sectors. In addition to this, Mr. Mishra is currently serving on the board of directors of National Insurance Company Limited in the capacity of Government Nominee Director. Sir also served the additional charge as Managing Director and CEO at CERSAI, a fully government-owned technology entity managing national digital registries for security interest and central Know Your Client in the past. Before joining the Government of India, Sir worked with Willis Tower Watson as Head of Client Management and Banking. He also served on the boards of Willis Tower Watson India as its whole-time director and the country representative for the Asia Client-Facing Technology Engagement Board. Previously, Sir also led the Muscat Insurance Company SAOG based at Oman as its Group CEO. With this introduction, Sir, we request you to please join us online for presenting the special address. We welcome you, Sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Chairman, IDAI, sir, Mr. Panda. And good morning, Mr. Srinivasan. I can digitally see a set of persons sitting there, most of them known to me or having worked along. Some known faces, very warm welcome to all of you here. And congratulations, Srinivasan, sir, for putting this up together. So I take it up from the insurance penetration point of view or growing the entire remit of the sector in the country into two important parts. One is about the accessibility and second is about the affordability. I think a lot of things as we speak has been done in the last few years through the DFS route under the able secretaryship of Sri Panda, the current chairman, which we have in IDAI. And I've been a part of it. So very, very happy to see that certain things we could take to the logical conclusions. And as we speak today, possibly this is the best possible time that insurance sector India will ever witness with the kind of things that are being done, both at the level of affordability and accessibility. And I think once we are really able to address these two equations or puzzles for the country, which carries the demography, which carries the space, which carries the penetration complexities, like nobody else, it's important that we understand it very carefully and categorically. I do realize in the discussion which we used to have at DFS that do we start with the penetration and density, which are both dollar denominated signs, or we take something else in order to understand India better. We hit upon something called coverage. That हर एक भारतवासी के पास कुछ insurance तो हो पहले. That does not either give the GDP connection, which is the penetration, or the advocacy connection or adequacy connection, which is density. So I think we started working on it very, very carefully and calibrated. Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana and Suraksha Bima Yojana, both under the Honorable PM's names and remit, have already penetrated India to a great extent. Around 29.75 crore on Jeevan Jyoti, empanelment till date, and over 14 crores in the Suraksha Bima scheme, which is possibly a record of its own sort in a country like India or for a globe in which India represents as one of the important countries. Not too dissimilar is the stats on the health side, wherein the Jan Arogya Yojana, including its central remit of the head office related things or the central scheme related things in all states put together, which are into the fold of Jan Arogya, we are somewhere around 70 crore mark. Again, the biggest ever that the world has seen. Now, to that extent, these are great leaps of faith, both by the center and the central government, equally a leap of faith by the people who get impaneled into that. So big congratulations to Team India, so to say, in order to become a part of that. I do recollect during COVID times, we used to have such discussions on how do we take the next level of it. And I think I'm very, very pleased to see that the product related simplification, which has been one of the important remits with which we are looking at the industries. I am in very regular touch with CEOs as well as with IDAI, and IDA is even more deeper entrenched into that merit in terms of taking this forward of how do we simplify the entire insurance thing. I think one of the reasons why insurance has been less penetrated than banking is we kept it somehow somewhere under the wraps, under some lot of jargons of the risk and the risk management and death strain and this and that and all that stuff. My friend, it is time that we unshackled insurance from such huge English jargons. It's an area to cover, it's a device to cover the people, the health, the lives, the properties. As simple as that. For which, if we are able to create or infuse those simplicity, I think times are not very far when the 3.2% of life insurance penetration will possibly become double of it, when the close to 1% penetration will at least jump 5 times, very, very clearly. Please mind you, my friends, that when we say 3.2, it also takes into account the entire life insurance premium service for decades together by LIC, which has savings component into it. So in the heart of the heart, if we have to look at the actual penetration, we must look at the protection gap, which is somewhere at a staggering 80-85 by different surveys and the different methodologies with which it is done. So a long way to travel. Good news is this is possibly the best time and across the best environment and the mood that India sees inwards as well as the world sees outside inwards for India as a country, for capital as well as for insurance. So I think this is the basic crux with which we should look at the insurance going forward. And to the kind of a topic which we have spoken about in terms of how do we take it forward, I do believe that these are 4 or 5 key areas. We remain agri-economy to a great extent. We need to think agriculture differently, be it the regulatory level, be it the penetration level, be it the participation level, or be it the pooling or the risk capacity level. It's time that agriculture insurance or the farm insurance became a very democratized commodity. Fasal Bima Yojana has done a great job, but my sense is this community and this fraternity has to think agri in a very serious way. Coming on to the property side or the other areas, I think cyber is another extremely important point that we must think together and collaborated about it. In my CISO remit, I keep thinking about the areas that we are being hit upon on the cyber risk side. Chairman and I have spoken about that couple of times in terms of how do we take this forward. It's time that we created a basic cyber minimum hygiene for our country and also the cyber coverages in terms of understanding it. It's time that our CEOs of insurance companies reached out to their CEOs, which are industry CEOs, and conveyed to them and emphasized to them how important it is as a peril, and hence it's kind of a protection around that peril is a need of the hour. It's important that we built up our cyber quotient. The way we think about IQ, it's time that we looked at CQ in the same breath. If we are able to do that, chances are whatever journey we do in our digital and digital insurance space, they will remain the journey is progressive and not a sine wave, which we go 10 steps ahead and 20 steps backward. So it's equally important that our entire innovation is laced with a caution, laced with a protection. And that is one of the important things that we need to think about. I think on the NatCat side, as well as utilizing some of the funds of India, which is including the SDRS and NDRS, there are discussions going around. But it's time, especially the reinsurers fraternity who's listening into me, as well as some of the brokers who are really being able to fetch and collaborate in some reinsurances. How can we bring in that system, which has got a very, very bottom-up approach towards creating an insurance pyramid? The pyramid of capacities, the pyramid of NatCats, the pyramid of properties, and the pyramid of life and health. If you are able to possibly insinuate and think through the entire processes in a way in which we can do it better than the rest, I think next 7 to 8 years, we can be possibly into the reckoning. While the India becomes a developed India in X years or 2 or 3 decades, I think insurance can become a developed country insurance system next 6 to 7 years. That's what the faith I express to you and I echo back to you. Thank you so much, Jai Hind.
So thank you very much. We are deeply appreciative and highly grateful to you for an insightful and thought-provoking address.